Welcome to this new video. Today I would like to talk about Railjack. And once again, it's going to be relatively yappy. I find this kind of natural thought process videos just much more comfortable to talk about. So let's just jump right into it. Let's first discuss on what Railjack is and how you should be approaching it. So Railjack is an alternative game mode where you are able to control your Railjack in space to do essentially like side missions where you get certain rewards, like there is the Void Storms that give you Sevagoth and give you Corrupted Hollow Keys with which you can get melee tenet weapons. So there's a lot of really cool rewards, and also you have your high-end skirmish runs within the Veil Proxima, which give an absolute insane amount of endo per hour, and this is something I highly recommend if you're lacking credits or endo, to just get another clanmate of yours to run those runs in particular. So let's step into that specifically. If you wanted to do Railjack, it's best for you to get into a clan and then to get another person who already has a complete Railjack, so that you can jump straight into the Veil Proxima missions and get yourself the best possible Railjack parts right away. Because crafting them, like, there is no limit. You do not need to start at the lowest tier and work your way up to the highest tier. You can just get the highest tier, get the necessary materials, and your Railjack will be good to go right away. So before we get into Railjack, let's talk about Warframe choices. Right, so I have Mirage here, this is just something that I play. I'm going to mention Lavos. So for beginners, Lavos is a great frame to do Railjack with. Now it doesn't really matter how you mod your Lavos. Here I was just playing around with his new rework, or his new prime release, not really rework. They just gave him an augment. But why Lavos? Well, Lavos has no energy pool, as you can see here, it's 0. What he has instead is cooldown on his abilities. And because normally when you're piloting a Railjack, using abilities costs energy. Since he has no energy, and that's Warframe based, his Railjack abilities will have cooldown instead. So if you struggle with sustaining a lot of energy, then I highly recommend you run Lavos, because all of your Railjack abilities will be based off of cooldown. The other frame I can recommend would of course be Protea. And that's because Protea has her dispensary, meaning she could put down her dispensary. As she pilots, she will naturally regain energy. And of course, if you do run the energy round, then you want to have flow. You don't need primed flow, just a normal flow. And then if you have access to Energize, then Energize helps sustain that even more. Personally, I use Protea because I've kind of outgrown the Lavos, but there is nothing wrong with using Lavos. You're just not able to spam, you consistently use the abilities as they come off cooldown. Dan from the future here, some of the footage got corrupted. Let's quickly run over Intrinsics. So with the Intrinsics, you want to focus on tactical and engineering. I would leave command for last, since this only focuses on crew members. Gunnery is no longer as important, because before in time you had to reach gunnery rank 4 to get your ordnance cannon unlocked, or artillery cannon. That's no longer the case. And piloting increases your speed, which is obviously nice, but it's not that important. So that what I would start on is reaching rank 4 engineering to get the resupply forward artillery during mission. This of course allows you to make more dome charges. And on the tactical side, you will want to get the rank 4 here, for the Omni gear can be used to warp back to the ship. This is incredibly important, as you'll see later in the mission. I'm going to be teleporting back to the ship whenever that is necessary, or as soon as the mission's done. So highly recommend that you preset your keybind. There is a separate keybind that you can set for this. This doesn't even have to be on your gear wheel, the Omni that is. So you can just actually just show it here real quick, I guess. So under the customized keybinds, it's pretty much here somewhere at the bottom. There you go. Equip Omni is its own keybind. It does not have to be on your gear wheel. You just set it to whatever you want it to be. So whenever I press B, I teleport back to the Railjack. Then for the mods and the battle and tacticals, let's quickly cover that as well. So you'll want to prioritize health so that you can survive, which is why we run the health aura here. So you can see hull, armor, and maximum shields. Then to move fast, you get these triple speed nodes here, or mods. You get the base speed, you get the boost speed, and then you get the speed whenever there are no enemies near you. Then for turrets, we do base damage, critical damage, and critical chance. And the most important nodes here are the artillery nodes, actually, because this increases the damage, this doubles the damage of the artillery, and this allows you to randomly save ordnance ammo. Super useful. Like, I can't even explain how useful this is. Sometimes you'll go through entire missions without using a single charge. Absolutely wonderful. As for battle, I run Blackout Pulse. This is particularly useful in solos. This basically freezes all the ships in place and makes them do nothing. It makes it, like, the lineups for engines incredibly easy. Then you have Shatterburst. This is just generic damage, explosions, very powerful. You can use this to clear fighters, you can use this to destroy radiators, you can use this to blow up shields on cruise ships, all kinds of things. Very, very useful. The only other thing I'd consider in this slot would be the particle ram, but this is for whenever you're doing passive resource farming, flying between asteroids, just destroying things passively and it gets picked up. But even in that case, you can still use the Shatterburst. So pretty much a permanent mod here. And then for the final one, you have Seeker Volleys. Back in the day, we used to combine Void Hole with Shatterburst, but this requires you to use both of the abilities, like you have to Void Hole to suck the enemies in, and then you Shatterburst on top of that. That's still just as powerful as it used to be, but nowadays, because of how much stronger they made our abilities and because of how much we can spam them, people use Seeker Volley. This clears out all the fighters instantly, and you'll see this in action later on in the missions that I'll be running to showcase. Pretty much all the fighters are just instantly gone. As for the tacticals, the most important one here is probably Breach Quanta. This pauses the destruction of your ship, so if you have a critical hull failure, if that progresses all the way through, you'll lose the mission. That's one of the very few ways to lose the mission in Railjack, or pretty much the only way to lose it. So very useful, especially if you're doing this with other people who are new to the mode. You can Breach Quanta, come back later, repair it yourself, or just buy them enough time to be able to repair it. Death Blossom removes heat from your turrets. You rarely use your guns in this mode, right? But whenever you would have to fire continuously, this is useful, right? Like, the only real one that can go here is Battle Stations, I guess. And between Battle Station and Death Blossom, I'd pick Death Blossom any day. And for the final one, you have Battle Forge here. This is nice because whenever you craft something with the forges, they go on cooldown. So if every single forge is on cooldown, this will reset the cooldown and allow you to craft something. Very useful if you're missing ordnance charges. The other one that you can consider running, besides these, you'd have to replace Breach Quanta, but you can run Form Up. So with Form Up, you recall all the members back to the ship. So this is very useful for, like, instead of waiting to people to return back to the Railjack post-mission, you just press Form Up, everybody is teleported onto the ship, boom, you're ready to go into the next one. So here we are in the dry dock. So let's talk about ship parts and what each type of part specializes in. So as you can see here, I run Lavos Shield, Z-Key Engine, Lavos Plating, and then Z-Key Reactor. So let's talk about each one individually. So Lavos Shields, they provide the highest shield capacity. Additionally, as you can see here, the Lavos shield that I have has the perk of 1000 of energy consumed is converted into shields. So this is very similar to the Augur set, if you're familiar, right? As you spend energy by casting abilities, you will recover your shield. So here, since I'm spamming with my Protea, spamming my Shatterburst, like whatever it is that I'm using, right, I get shields back. Therefore, I don't even have to wait for the delay periods, which is why it doesn't matter the fact that this has reduced a delay regeneration period. Then for the engines, I would recommend between the Z-Key or the Vidar engines. So the Z-Key engines have the highest boost, but slightly lower base speed. And the Vidar engines have the higher base speed, but a slightly lower boost multiplier. So here it doesn't really matter. It just so happens that most of the time you're not really moving that much when you're actually fighting. You mostly move only whenever you've already killed all the enemies and you need to move to the next section of the mission. Therefore, you're mostly boosting at that point, right, using the mod cruising speed. So the boosting speed is nice, but it doesn't really matter. Just whichever you prefer here, both are good. Then let's talk about the plating. The plating here, so the Lavan has the highest health and armor of all the different platings. Well, not both armor actually, it has the highest health. But Zetki has a middle ground of health and armor. As you can see here, the armor is slightly higher, but the health is slightly lower. And then you have the Vidar plating, which will have the higher armor, but the lower health. So I just run the highest health possible, because the amount of armor that you're getting here is already quite high. If you're not familiar with how armor works, 2700 armor is already about an 85% damage reduction. This is about like an 87% damage reduction, because the number is like diminish in return, so you don't get as much as the number goes higher. So then let's talk about the reactor. And here the only real choice is the Zetki reactor. And the reason for that is because it gives you essentially power strength for your Railjack abilities. So it makes your Shatter Burst do more damage, it makes your missiles do more damage. And the most important thing here besides that is the additional perk that I got on it, which has a 50% chance to automatically repair electrical hazards. There's two hazards, there is cold and electrical. Both of them are annoying. Cold slows your ship down, but electrical completely disables your UI and prevents you from using abilities. By far the worst one, so if you are getting a reactor and you have the ability to get the electrical hazard one, I highly recommend that. After that, we can talk about weapons. Generally, I just have every single type of weapon in Zetki. Right, Zetki has the highest crit chance and crit damage, and that's mainly why I go for it. It does cost a little bit more in heat, but generally speaking, you're not really firing your weapons that often. So whenever you do fire it, you will do more crits, and it's just does higher damage in general. Okay, so here are my crew members for my Railjack. The most important thing to probably know here is that the crew members replace the players right to left. So as players join your mission, or the other way around, yeah. So the players replace the crew members right to left. So as players join your mission, the first person for me to go would be the pilot. And this makes perfect sense. Normally you run the pilot for whenever you have to leave the ship, whenever you're, let's say, boarding an objective. They can destroy the external, radiators, I think, what you have to destroy. But if I'm running this mission in a duo, then I don't care about having a pilot. So all I do is he just gets replaced with an actual player, and then I'm the one piloting, or my friend is piloting, and the other person is doing all the side objectives. Outside of that, you want to have two engineers because you want things to get any kind of damage on your ship, such as fire hazard, right, cold hazard, whatever it is, or electrical hazard if you don't have the auto repair. Will get repaired by the engineers automatically, so you never really have to pull out your Omni or even worry about or craft any extra Omni. Stats wise, if possible, of course, you want to get 555, right? If he's a pilot, you want piloting speed, gunnery, repair. This is whenever I make him not pilot. Whenever I'm piloting and he's just running around the ship, he will do repair, so repair is nice for him as well. And of course it increases his heal rate for self-healing. Then you have, for your engineers, it's health, because they are going to be fighting boarding a lot, and then it's repair and combat, right? So because they're your first front line against your ship being boarded, you want them to be able to do some combat, and then repair, of course, is the most important for them outside of that. And then you just give them any of your trusted weapons. Here I'm running a sidearm that I use a lot. This is just my Kid Gun Spore Lacer. I have the Synax. This way he doesn't even have to aim directly at enemies. I have a really nice ribbon on this. And then you have I have my Exceltra. But you could give them any weapon. It doesn't really matter. Just whichever powerful weapons that you have that you're comfortable with giving them. And it's not like you won't be able to use it yourself, right? You're just giving it to them so they can use it in missions. One thing to note, whenever looking for your perfect crew member, right, you're allowed to assign 3 training points, right? As you can see here, if I reset, it says that I can reset 3. I'm not quite sure how I got this crew member in the beginning, but generally speaking, you'll get them with like 5, 4, and then 3 or something like that, right? And then you'll put 2 here, 1 here, and then boom, you're 5, 5, 5, right? Or you might get 5, 5, and then like 2. So yeah, just keep an eye out for it whenever you're checking pilots every single time the rotation changes, right? If there is a cool pilot, then pick him up. And of course, pilots can also have their unique traits. So like this pilot here, right? Heal all teammates 1000 health when the crew member drops below 30% health. That's obviously useful. That makes this crew member much harder to kill. And of course, if you do get a pilot, you want your pilot's trait to match the engines you're using. So for me, I use the Zetki engines, so therefore my pilot has the Zetki engine trait. So now I'm aboard my Railjack. Let's take a look and talk about all the different missions. So on Earth, in free flight, you can farm for basic materials. Especially if you have the RAM, or you can also do it with the Shatterburst, but the easiest is to just do it with the RAM. You're just gonna fly around between all the different asteroids, and you're just going to destroy all the floating materials and pick them up. There are some materials that are obviously not available in the Earth Proxima, and they'll be available in the Saturn or the Neptune Proxima. Most notably, a lot of the high tier parts that come from the Veil Proxima require some Corpus materials, and those of course will be available on the Neptune Proxima. The Veil Proxima, be very careful on the Veil Proxima for missions that contain the sentience, so you kind of want to avoid this for now maybe. I mean, it's obviously useful overall, since you do get unique rewards from that, but generally speaking, you want to be running these 2 missions here that are Skirmish. And the other thing to keep an eye out for is the rotating void storm. So whenever you have missions that have this void background around them, there is a void storm currently happening inside them. Now this is the way that you acquire Sevagoth parts and you acquire the corrupted holo keys for the Tenet weapons. So if you aren't doing that, I would recommend to stay clear of it, but you're just looking to do skirmish missions because that's the fastest mission type available here. Every other mission here will require you to do a mission after the fact, so you'll finish all the objectives and then you have to do the survival, right? Or you'll finish all the objectives here, then you have to do the defense. But here, this is just the Railjack mission and nothing else. So let's quickly try out this skirmish mission that doesn't have the sentience or the void storm, just to show pretty much everything that I've been talking about in action. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop an energy pad and then drop my dispensary. Now I have infinite energy as the pilot between everything going on, right? As soon as we load into the mission, oh, my pilot already took over, but that's unnecessary. So Seeker Volley, and pretty much all the fighters are gonna die. I don't have to shoot my gun, and as you can see I have infinite energy, so it doesn't matter, right? Be careful, the energy cost doubles if you're spamming your abilities, so, you know, you can actually run out of energy, but do keep an eye on it, and of course, keep in mind the duration of your dispensary, make sure to place another one as it turns out. So here's a cruise ship, not cruise ship, but cruise ship. So sometimes they have shields around them in higher tier missions. This one doesn't, so we're just going to blackout pulse it, right? I'm gonna tell my pilots to stop being a pilot. Let me see where he is. Here's my pilot. Don't be a pilot, be a defender. The reason why I'm doing that is because he would steal my pilot seat and he would fly away and not allow me to shoot the engines. So if you shoot the engines and they're active and not destroyed, you will do a red critical hit. This will one-shot the ship. So that's what you're looking to do. So if you're on the guns, do not blow up the engines. If you blow up the engines, you're unable to do the red critical hit and therefore one-shot in the ships. Now we're back in the pilot seat, we're just going to Seeker Volley and go for the next cruise ship as it spawns. So there is another cruise ship. We fly right to it. So this one is shielded, so we can't shoot it. As you can see, it's taking 0 damage. So the easiest way for us to destroy the shields is to just Shatterburst. And now the shields are gone. Now we blackout pulse. And now it's stuck. And now we just repeat. Right, we go in here and we destroy the engines. So incredibly simple. This is why I would say it's most optimal to do Railjack missions in a duo, because you can have a person already do the side objectives like disabling the asteroid hangar or the pulse turbine, while you can focus on the ship part of the mission, like destroying the cruise ships and destroying the fighters, right? So this one here, as you can see, shield it, we shatter burst, shields are gone, we blackout pulse, line up for the engine shot. So 2 of the engines are destroyed, not optimal, but it's okay, one's left. No big deal. As you can hear in the background, we've got boarded, but generally speaking, I don't really care about stuff like that. And here, as you can see, we ran out of ordnance ammo. So because I have the tactical leveled up all the way, I can teleport around my ship. We're going to go to the back of the ship. We're going to create more ordnance ammo, like so. And then teleport back to the front of the ship. And then we're going to shoot the engine. As I can see here, you can, by the way, use your abilities from the ordnance or from the artillery cannon. So I just blackout pulsed again. We're going to destroy this, and then we're going to help out our crew members, because as you can see, they're struggling a little bit, and that's okay. Just gonna quickly clear it up here. They'll revive each other, they'll do everything necessary. You don't really need to worry about it too much. Like, they could have probably handled that situation. Everything was basically dead by the time I came there. But just, you know, better safe than sorry. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's see, here's the next cruise ship. So no shields on this one. Very easy. Blackout pulse. We've already made the ammo. And hopefully this time cheap shot artillery actually does something and not actually make me waste the ammo, so I don't have to craft more. Like I said, there is a potential that you use no ammo throughout the entire mission. That way you just never have to craft it, right? Nice and easy. So we have 2 more. Let's get this very quickly. Keep in mind, my ship is built for boosting speed, so yeah, fly very fast in between, especially if there are no enemies nearby. Here, we just destroy this one. So let's talk about boarding while we have this dead space here. So you're looking to the other side objective here is to obviously board both the asteroid hangar and the pulse turbine. That's the awkward part for solos, by the way, because if you don't have a pilot, they sometimes shoot the reactors whenever you're boarding, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it can be really awkward and you have to teleport back to your Railjack to do that yourself. And that's obviously the most annoying thing, is just destroying the reactors whenever you're boarding, because you have to do both of those jobs. Railjack was never really designed to be soloed, so it's kind of understandable why it works the way it works. But it's just annoying, right? Since you have to rely on basically pure RNG, on whether your pilot is even going to shoot the reactors. So yeah, that's a relatively annoying part. And the other thing to keep in mind here is that the parts that you are looking for from the Veil Proxima, they both come from the mission reward, but they also commonly drop from destroyed cruise ships. So whenever you're on the mission, just tell your friends or your clanmate, whoever it is that you're doing with, that you're actually looking for parts from Veil Proxima, and they'll prioritize that and, you know, fly closer to the cruise ships to pick them up. So here, I'm going to set my pilot back to the pilot position. So defender to pilots. Before I leave here, we're gonna help them out. Let's revive the pilot so he doesn't die. Otherwise, this will be even more awkward.
I can kill a few more.
Flames extinguished.
Alright, so wonderful. Still one more enemy here somewhere. There he is. Okay, so now we just bail from the ship, and now we're gonna focus on doing the side objectives ourselves, since this is a solo. So we're just gonna fly in here. And see, he's just gonna leave, by the way. I don't know, like, I really don't understand this pilot AI. You'd hope. Like, it's truly completely random on whether they focus on shooting the reactors, so let's hope he does that here. And we don't have to do that ourselves. That extends the mission quite a bit when you have to teleport back and forth. So the boarding part is very simple. You usually just have to hack a few things, shoot a few things. There's not really much going on here. I'm just gonna cipher it, just for the sake of speed. So there you go. So now a radiator, not reactor. Radiator is available. He has to destroy it, so we just cross our fingers and hope that he does it. If he doesn't do it in like about, I don't know, 10, 15, like, I don't know, 20 seconds, however long it is that you're willing to wait, just teleport back and do it yourself. Let's make sure not to die here. Oh, so he actually did it. Beautiful. So he's doing his thing, so we're just gonna hack the next one. So in this mission, you'll also have to capture the cruise ship available in this station. We can kind of already, well, we're waiting for him to destroy the second radiator. Hopefully that doesn't take too long. Any day now. Well, guess I might have to teleport back for this one. Right, so I'm just gonna press B here. This will teleport me back to the Railjack. Then we get to see what's going on and why he's not shooting it. Oh, and of course, the moment I teleport back, he does it. So let's go back on the thing and then do the final part of it. So this is kind of the problem with not doing it with teammates. It just takes unnecessary amount of time. Like, you're just stuck going back and forth like this very often. Not very comfortable, which is why I highly recommend, like, this is supposed to be clan content anyway, so make sure to grab one of your clannies and do it with them. This one's very simple. You destroy it, and then shoot down the reactor. And now you can leave. Next we have the pulse turbine left. I'm gonna take over from my pilot here real quick, just so we fly there faster. Here you'll get to see the full boosts in effect, so I'm gonna double tap shift, and all my different boosts coming in here, and the speed and the cruising speed, right? And I'm here in literally just a few seconds. Doesn't take long at all. Bail out of this seat and let's board.
Pulse turbine reinforcing enemy units. 2 is going in.
Alright, so with this one we will have to destroy reactors on our end, while they have to destroy radiators on the outside. So let's expose those. And then once again, let's pray that he does the thing.
Radiator exposed.
Now we're just waiting. Oh, actually did it. Beautiful, and very fast as well. So now we do our part. Now he has to do his part again.
Bingo. Crew, trash that radiator.
Gonna go to the final objective here while I wait for him. If he does it. Any one of these days. So let's take a look. Let's see what he's doing. He is aiming into space. What is he aiming at? I have no idea. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to teleport back here because he's just shooting at nothing. Oh, he was shooting at the station. What is he aiming at? Oh, he is on the other side aiming at it through the... Oh my goodness. So, you don't need to aim at them like this, by the way. You can just shatter burst. There you go. Done. So let's go back here. So it looks like the AI actually does try and aim at them. It just doesn't quite understand what it's aiming at. Here he was literally on the other side of the rock trying to shoot at it. That is quite hilarious.
Dropping Tenno out of airlock.
And now we go to the final part here. It's already waiting there. There we go. And it's done. So now this skirmish mission is done. If you were doing this with players, in general, like you can see, it took 11 minutes, but with players this would have taken like 3 to 5 minutes if you're all fast about it. And then as you can see there, I got the lava and reactor, but also throughout the mission I got a bunch of different lava and guns, and you could be Zetki. I don't know why I got only Lavan parts here. It could be Zetki or Vidar, of course. This is just how you drop them. This is how you also get your asterite and all the different materials, except the Corpus specific materials, right? You have to do Corpus missions for those. So just keep an eye out for that. So apparently they fixed the free flight material gathering, so we're going to do a non-free flight. We're just going to start a low-level skirmish mission, like so. And what you're looking to do, well, what you used to do in free flight that you'll now have to do in just a low-level mission, is you're just going to fly between the asteroids. You're going to destroy all the different resource nodes and get materials that way. This is a very easy way where you don't need anybody's help. You can just do it by yourself, even if you have no Railjack parts whatsoever. So, just going to quickly show it off. Outside of that, I hope this information was useful for you. And I hope you learned something new here. Oh, this is the resource nodes, by the way. You can take a look at this. So this is what you're looking to destroy. You either do that with your gun, or you can just shatter burst. And as you can see, a lot of stuff got destroyed, and now I'm just gonna start picking it up. Just got null stones, right? Fly over here, shatter burst this. Get a bunch of other stuff, right? This is why I say that normally you want the particle ram instead, because with the particle ram, you don't need to use energy on shatter bursts. You can just fly by the asteroids, everything will get destroyed, and you'll pick up the materials. So it's nice and comfy, very passive. And as you can see, it's a very easy mission here, right? There is no additional boarding or anything. You're just destroying the cruise ships and the fighters, and then you're done. And they're very low level, so you could do this with just your guns alone and no abilities. This is of course what you're intended to do first when you're starting out on Railjack. If you don't have the... well, you will have the ordnance actually unlocked, but realistically the other way to destroy cruise ships is to board them, and then you can destroy the reactor from within. That's an option. If you're still unable to craft additional ordnance shots, then that's pretty much the only way that you can do it if you run out of ammo. Do keep that in mind. So here we just blow up the final ship, and then we're free to explore this entire tile set, picking up all the different materials. Like I said, doing this, the only one you'll be missing is the one you get from Corpus cruise ships. So yeah, now I feel like I've shown pretty much everything. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've learned a thing or two here, and I hope you understand Railjack much better now. And it's something, Railjack's really fun. As I said, you get a lot of credits and endo from it, so it's a great way to spend some time with your friends, just doing like relatively easy content. It can be challenging, especially if you're doing something like Void Storms, but generally speaking, it's pretty easy and very comfy, and it's also fun. It's a very unique game mode, especially for Warframe. So do enjoy that, and I'll see you next time.